Hello, this is Dr. Chuck, Business 650. Today we're talking about Chapter 2 in Business Research, and this is about business research and is about ethics. And some of the learning objectives, just a couple of the learning objectives that we'll have for this chapter are the goal of ethics in research is no harm. There's no harm to the participants, to the researcher, or to those who are doing sponsorship of the research. It's ensuring that you yourself do not get harmed in the process. Whether, again, this harm isn't just physical. It can be physical, psychological, in any other manner where you can be harmed. The same with the participants as well as the research sponsor. Some other objectives are there's different ethical dilemmas that will be faced by the sponsor, and even by the research assistants. And even ethics can be breached by the participants. Those are harder to control, but participants themselves can act in unethical behaviors that can cause a dilemma during research. And there's also, we're going to talk about the role of the conduct of professional associations in their role. They'll have usually sets of ethical standards and compliances that a researcher needs to comply with. Kind of a revelation on research is, I don't know if you realize, but 89% of consumers, your PCs, are infected with spyware. And spyware is created to find out information and your usage on your computer. So the question would be on this one, do you think that's a very ethical practice to have spyware on someone's computer to find out information about them? What are some of the violations that can happen in ethics? You can violate a disclosure agreement, which means that you're not going to reveal all of the results. You have a disclosure agreement that says only certain people will see the results of this research, and you can violate that. That is an ethical violation. You can break confidentiality. Padded invoices are a breach of ethics. Misrepresenting results, that's a challenge. If you have if there's a purpose behind research, research can become very biased, and results can be misrepresented both by the person that's doing the research because it may show something in their favor, or by an organization or a manager of an organization who wants the research to go in a specific way or manner. So there can be breaches there. Deception of participants. There's violations in how deceiving participants and what the real purpose of the research is. You get a lot of that online where it's a research study and the idea is really just to gather your information and sell your product. Again, that's the question: is that a violation of ethics? And avoiding legal liabilities, another ethical violation that can happen. And there are many more. Some of the approaches to ethics, there is ethical relativism, which is basically my values and my beliefs, and understanding if I'm doing some type of research or even anything in ethics does it violate my own personal ethics? Will the mean justify the end? Is it possible to deceive someone because the greater good is going to be served? That would be a kind of ethical relativism. And deontology is when we have principles, the golden rule. No matter what the end is, whatever the mean will never change the end. If the end result is that, again, whatever the purpose is of that research or the purpose of that ethic is, it stands strong and firm. Another research revelation is that 76% of employees in organizations say that they have seen ethical violations within an organization. So you can ask yourself that question as you reflect back on, or if you're new on your journey in your career, you reflect back on your journey in your careers. Have you seen breaches in ethics, things that you thought weren't done or didn't even fit within a code of ethics that were written by an organization? Now, ethical issues can happen throughout this course. We are going to be talking about the different stages of the research process and walking through those as we develop your research proposal. There are opportunities for breaches in ethics along every single stage. So as you go through this process, ask yourself, you yourself as a researcher, you yourself as getting the research participants, could you be breaching, hurting them or harming yourself? Or could they be misleading you? Or even the sponsors of the research, do they have a reason or a bias behind that research? Ethical treatment of participants. You want to explain the study benefits. Are there benefits of the study, not just to them, but what are the benefits of the study? Why is the study being performed? So they understand why they're being participants in this. Explain their rights and the protections. They have to be over 18. If not, you need consent. So different rights that they have, that they will not be harmed, that they will not be harmed again psychologically, emotionally, or physically, and obtaining an informed consent. And that's when you have them sign a document that states everything that that they will be going through, what's to be expected, what they'll receive, who you'll give the information to, and who you won't give the information to. All that's part of an informed consent. There's deceptions that can take place in a research process, disguising non-research activities. These are activities that maybe are done that they're non-research, and you kind of making them believe this is part of the research and it's not. And camouflaging true research objectives. That happens in some research where you can't really tell the participants right up front exactly the objectives of the research, or it will bias the research. But after the research is over, then right away you need to let them know this is why we did the research, this is why we didn't tell you why we were doing the research, and see if they're still willing to let their data be used in that research. Debriefing. Debriefing is when, after a research project is done, it's explain any deception that may have taken place. Positive deception, where again you had to hide the reason for the research, or the participants again may have been biased toward that research. Debriefing is describing the purpose. Here's why we did this. Did you need any more information? Have we harmed you in any way? Share the results. A lot of participants want to see the results. They partake in giving you their time, and they want to see the results of the research, and provide follow-up if they want to know what came of that research that you did. Confidentiality of the participants, very important. Again, a non-disclosure form that they sign. Reveal any information that may be revealed about them through the research is done through written consent. So again, you want to have confidentiality of the participants. If you're in an organization, an effective code of ethics, it's one thing to say I have a code of ethics, and it's another thing to have an effective code of ethics. The code of ethics must be enforceable. What can we do if that code of ethics is breached? Can it be regulated? Who's going to regulate that code of ethics? Is it working? Is it being violated? How do we ensure that it's updated? It needs to be as close as you can to specifying the exact behavior of what to do or what not to do, and not vague. And protect those who are part of any type of research. So the things we've talked about is, again, what is a code of ethics? Confidentiality is very important. Debriefing a participant after the research. Ethics, we've talked about ethics, deontology or relativism. What type of ethics codes will you use? Will your participants be thinking of? On informed consent. The right to privacy. Think about spyware, stealing your privacy. What if a person gives you information about their salary, about their education, about anything else in their lives? They have a right to that privacy, and it's not used against them or even given out to anyone else. A right to quality. That's the quality of the research that's done, a good research project. And a right to safety, that can mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and physically, that they have safety. These are just some of the key notes, some of the key subject matters of this week's reading in Chapter 2. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the classroom.